Now, the surviving suspect in last week's terror bombings in Boston has been slipping in and out of consciousness in hospital, but has been able to make a written statement for the first time. The 19-year-old received a throat injury during a fierce standoff with police and is still unable to speak. Charges against the alleged bomber are due to be filed later on Monday. More details now from Dzhokhar.
Law enforcement officials in Boston are saying that 19-year-old Boston bombing suspect Dzhokhar is finally awake. He's currently at a Boston hospital being treated for injuries. We're hearing that he's awake and answering officials' questions sporadically in writing. They're asking him about any further possible accomplices in the Boston bombings case, as well as whether or not any further explosive devices should be of concern to officials. But as of yet, we're not hearing any details. Officials are not revealing any details in terms of the answers that Tsarnaev is giving them. Of course, all of this comes after he was arrested Friday night after a mass lockdown took place in Boston, after an unprecedented manhunt that took place here and a several-hour shootout between law enforcement and this 19-year-old suspect. We do know that he suffered serious injuries in this shootout and has been treated at a local hospital here in Boston. He suffered injuries to his throat and was unable to speak, and this is precisely what officials have been waiting for, to be able to communicate with him to find out the motives to the Boston bombings, as well as the participation of any possible further accomplices. And of course, we have to note that the Miranda rights of Tsarnaev have been revoked. The right he has to remain silent, as well as a right to a lawyer, are being denied to him because officials are interested in being able to question him without being able to use this right. And the fact that his Miranda rights have been revoked is receiving major criticism throughout the United States and causing really a lot of debate. Civil rights groups are saying that he should be able to have these rights provided to him as a U.S. citizen being investigated in a criminal case, but certainly this has not been the case. Officials are using the public safety clause, and the criticism stems from the fact that they did say earlier that any immediate threat has been removed. Also, it's important to mention that Republican lawmakers in the United States have been suggesting that Tsarnaev be treated as an enemy combatant. This has also been a topic of much debate because we are, of course, talking about a U.S. citizen. Tsarnaev did become a naturalized citizen last year on September 11th. He has also lived in the United States since 2002, and this case involves a U.S. citizen committing a terror act on U.S. soil. It's also important to know that a major aspect of this case that's being debated is the participation of the FBI, because as we do know, back in 2011, they did receive a request from a foreign government. This is Russia's government that said that they should look into the identity of the older brother, the oldest suspect, Tamerlan. They did, in fact, bring Tamerlan in for questioning. They followed his phone calls, they intercepted his social relationships, but did come to a conclusion that he is not dangerous and did end up freeing him. Of course, because the FBI right now is being criticized for this, they're going to trace their steps back, look into what exactly they could have missed, but also try to establish right now, with the second suspect being alive, whether the two brothers had any kind of connection to extremist groups that they might have overlooked 2 years ago and in the years and days leading up to the bombings that took place here in Boston. And also, of course, they're going to consider and look into the purposes of the trip that the older brother, Tamerlan, when he went back to the North Caucasus for about 6 months, they're going to try to see whether or not this time was used for him to be able to communicate with extremist groups on the ground. Dzhokhar, RT, Boston, Massachusetts.